Today we're going through the best Pokemon to power up in Pokemon Go for raids budget edition. Now we made a video about this recently and pretty much all the comments on that video were
pokedaxi, like this is literally a stupid video. No one has time to get these shadows, these legendary Pokemon, these ultra beasts, get all that stardust.
So out of the comments from that video today, we're doing the budget edition. Now you might wonder, what does a budget Pokemon count as in Pokemon Go? And here are the criteria we've set. It cannot be a legendary Pokemon, it cannot be a mythical Pokemon, it cannot be an ultra beast. Reason being, these Pokemon are usually exclusive to raids, making it very hard for you to grind candy for them unless you spend some money. It also cannot be a shadow Pokemon and cannot be a mega Pokemon. Before we do get into it though, I do want to say I don't actually really recommend powering up any of these Pokemon. Even if Pokemon from the other video are way more expensive to power up, you have to remember investing into something like this is a long-term investment. So even if you can only power up one Shadow Machamp every 3 months, and that's how much Stardust you have and candy you have, it's still a way better option than wasting your dust on some of these Pokemon, because these Pokemon just don't do nearly as much damage as the Pokemon we mentioned in the other video. But I do understand some people's lives are not completely focused around Pokemon Go and literally will just never have enough Stardust to power up Pokemon, so this will be the best they can do. And if that's you, this video is for you. Let's get right into it, starting with the Steel type, best Pokemon for that type. 2 budget Pokemon good for the Steel type. Number 1, Metagross. Now I understand it's not as much of a budget Pokemon because it is a pseudo legendary, but technically it falls into our criteria. Having Meteor Mash on that Pokemon, it's gonna be very, very strong. Number 2 would be Excadrill. I really recommend powering up the Metagross, but if you can only go with the Excadrill, those are the 2 Steel types that are really worth your while. Everything else will just tickle the raid boss. Bug type, not a very good type for raids, but we're going to have Vikavolt, a new Pokemon, the new best budget bug type raid attacker, and then we have Pinsir and Scizor as well. So all in all, those are good Pokemon to power up for bugs, but again, not a very good type. If you're running budget, don't really make a bug team. Dark type, a pretty good type to have for raids. We're gonna have 4 Pokemon in here. Hydreigon, which is of course a pseudo, but it did have a Community, so pretty accessible. We'll have Tyranitar in there as well, Weavile, and Honchkrow. All 4 of those are going to be great. You can actually get a bunch of dinos during December Community Day this December, so you can build a dark team budget style that way. We then have the Dragon type, which has a lot of different options, most of them pseudos, but let's go through them. Salamence, Garchomp, Dragonite, Haxorus, Hydreigon, Tyrantrum, Goodra, Alolan Executor, and Komodo. I know a lot of those are pseudos, but those are all great Dragon type raid attackers, and anything else you use is really just not even going to be worth using at that point. Electric type, which is probably one of the most recommended types I would power up for raids, like it's easily in the top 5 types. And some good attackers. We have Electivire, number 1, Magnezone, Luxray, Vikavolt, and Alolan Golem. By the way, when I am listing them, usually it's going to be from strongest to worst in that kind of order. We have Fairy type, which only has 3 Pokemon. I think Fairy is kind of forces you to have a budget team because there isn't too many amazing legendaries and shadows for Fairy type. So we have Togekiss, Gardevoir, and Sylveon. Those 3 are the ones you're going to want to go ahead and power up for the Fairy type. Moving on to Fighting type, which I believe is probably number 2 most useful type in the game. And we have a lot of great options. Number 1, best budget is easily Machamp. It's so easy to find Machops, so a regular Machamp will do great. We also have Conkeldurr, Lucario, which are a little harder to get, but then also Hariyama and Breloom. Power up all those things. Usually people like to get Machamps, and honestly, Machamps are not too hard to get. But definitely a very budget team you can run. We have Fire type next. We're going to have for budgets in order Darmanitan, Chandelure, Blaziken, Emboar, Charizard, and then of course the other starters. Generally for Fire type, you got Darmanitan, Chandelure as the best, and then any sort of starter Fire type Pokemon will do well as long as it has Blast Burn on it, so you will have to make sure you get that move. Flying type, there's 3 Pokemon, Honchkrow, Staraptor, and Braviary. The regular version, not the Hisuian version. Staraptor is going to be a great budget flying type raid attacker because it did have the Community Day, and again, December Community Day, if you missed it, will be at the end of the month to get that attacker. Ghost, only 2 Pokemon even worthwhile powering up, Chandelure and Gengar. Those are the only 2 that I would ever power up. Grass type, we are going to have Roserade, and then we're going to have Venusaur, and then we're going to have Tangrowth, Torterra, Sceptile, pretty much all the grass starters in the game. So definitely Roserade is a great budget one to power up. You can also get, you know, the Venusaur and stuff like that. Plenty of options for grass, but not the most useful type. Moving on to ground, which is a decently useful type for raids. The only type you can really use against electric raid bosses. Garchomp, number 1, Rhyperior, Excadrill, Crocodile, and Mamoswine. That Garchomp is great because you can use it as a dragon type attacker and vice versa, and same goes with the Rhyperior, which we'll get to in a bit. We have the ice type, which has a couple good options. We have Galarian Darmanitan, which is a little bit harder of a Pokemon to get because it is an egg exclusive / event exclusive Pokemon. We have Mamoswine. Of course, Swinub is very common in a lot of events, especially wintertime events. We have Glaceon available with the Eevee, Weavile, and Avalugg. So a lot of great options in there for ice. Normal type, of course, cannot do super effective damage in raids, so you're not going to want to power up anything for a normal type raid attacker. We have the poison type, which the best is going to be Roserade, and then Overquill, which is a new Pokemon, the evolution of Hisuian Quillfish, Toxicroak, and Victreebel. I love that Roserade because you can power it up for poison and for grass. So it's great for anyone trying to save Stardust and run that budget team because it's like a double budget attacker. So it's like budget, but then even more budget. And then for Psychic, we have a couple here. Now, Psychic is really a type that like Mewtwo just dominates the type. So it's really not worth spending resources on this Pokemon. But you can use Metagross, Espeon, Alakazam, and Exeggutor. Now that Metagross was great as a Steel type. So again, you can double up there, use as a Psychic and use as a Steel type raid attacker. Double move that bad boy. Moving on to the best type in the game for raids, which is going to be the Rock type. In my opinion, most useful type. This should be the first team you max. Best Rock type attackers, there's 4: Rhyperior, Rampardos, Tyranitar, and Gigalith. That Rhyperior is with Rock Wrecker, so you need the Legacy Community move. Amazing Pokemon. You can use it for the ground types, you can use it for the rock types. A great Pokemon to power up and just save a lot of Stardust and just still be really effective. Finally, the last type, of course, Water type. Best Pokemon for the Water type, we're gonna have Swampert, we're gonna have Kingler, for Alligator, Samurott, and Empoleon, and then of course going down the list of all the water starters with Hydro Cannon. Swampert is a pretty good budget option. We have the Community Classic. Mudkips are pretty common in certain events. They come around once in a while. So great to pretty much just have that set up. Well, that's pretty much gonna be it. I highly recommend that you guys check out my other video below because I go more in depth on what types are the best to use for. And of course, we mentioned legendaries, shadows, mythicals, all that stuff, which you might have some of. You might have to, you know, make some budget Pokemon, but you might be able to power up a Mewtwo or two. So yeah, definitely watch that video and let me know if you guys enjoy this video and if it helped out. We're gonna see you on the next one. Follow me for one. Peace.